Alright, so today I'm going to be talking about the Kaiden Mercenaries, or the Northern Sellswords, or maybe that's mixed up, but they were called Northern Mercenaries in the network test and Kaiden Sellswords in the actual game. There you go. In my opinion, they're some of the first cool looking enemies you guys will come across in the game. I mean, they're completely fucking dripped out. I mean, look at this fucking armor. The fur pelt, the big sword, fucking dope ass helmet. These bulky-ass cutthroat motherfuckers can be found in Limgrave and around Stormvale, probably serving in like Godric's mercenary army that he had to basically form after he got his shit pushed in by the Rot Mama, fucking Melania. Basically because Godric's own soldiers aren't worth a fuck, he kind of has to bolster them with sellswords like the Kaidens and the Mad Pumpkinheads, who I'm going to do a video on, but to sum it up, they're basically just gladiators who are driven from the Colosseum and kind of driven mad. That's like my my knowledge on them so far. But they're definitely a cool enemy. I want to do something on them and the Vulgar Militia. I might just combine the two for a video. But anyway, moving on back to the Northern Mercenaries. These sellswords are said to be from the far north, and the name Kaiden is also the name of their hometown up there. Sort of like the heroes and knights of Zamor, except you can't find Kaiden anywhere in the game, and Zamor you can find, still being like at least somewhat populated by the Zamor. Did a whole video on them, you guys should check it out. If you haven't, I mean. In fact, though, there's like not even any ruins in the northern areas that could be Kaiden, so that probably means we haven't found it yet or it doesn't exist anymore, but more on that later. We can kind of speculate on where they might be from, though, as besides their super dripped out set and their super dope ass sword, they also drop frozen raisins. Now why that's interesting is because frozen raisins are made from rhymed roa, which is said to only grow in frigid highlands, and I mean in the game, it can only, I believe, be found in the mountaintops of giants. I don't think it's located in the consecrated snowfield. And basically, it gets made into these raisins that the mercenaries drop. But Roa is said to be inedible to humans, and it's mainly like a treat for their steeds. And as these guys are known cavalry masters, you know, they're horse lords, basically. It makes sense they would carry them, and they probably remind them of home and their horses of home, of their wintry environment that they hailed from. It just seems likely. Also, another note is that it's interesting how it's said to be the original strain of Roa is the frozen stuff, and all that to me is it just kind of hints at the fact that the mountaintops of giants and all the age of the giants and all of that predates the Erd tree, which is what the regular Roa comes from, and the golden Roa, which is said to be like fruits of the Erd tree, supposedly. It's interesting though that they aren't edible by humans, you know what I mean? It's kind of strange, but horses love them. Anyway, moving on. It could maybe also be inferred that these Kaiden mercenaries are the same race as the Northerner preset, which was said to be descended from giants. If these guys' hometown is in some kind of unreachable part of the mountaintops, or possibly was destroyed in the war with the Erd Tree or prior, maybe they sided against America. Who knows? You know what I mean? That's like super. Just I'd basically be talking fan fiction if I went down that rabbit hole. But one thing that bugs me about the Northerner preset is like how exactly are they descended from giants? Like in the sense that Kratos was, like how he came from Titans and all that, or like how does a giant bang a human and create offspring? Like I know Hagrid from the Harry Potter movies. I know Harry Potter isn't the most popular franchise, but I remember that being a whole thing. Like how the fuck did that even work? Like I don't know, definitely maybe content for another video perhaps. I'll try and work together how that could possibly work. But in terms of appearance, like these guys, how they look, their armor style and their weapons, and also like their status as like a warrior group that sells their services as mercenaries, seems to resemble in part the Cumans, who you could actually see as an enemy faction in the hit but polarizing peasant simulator Kingdom Come Deliverance, where they kill the main character's family. They also seem to be obviously inspired by the Mongolians in terms of like their armor, like parts of it at least, but the masks to me look more like Cumans, except Cumans had that whole like Guy Fawkes kind of face on them. But Cumans also exist in real life lore, and you guys should look them up. They're actually a pretty maney group of dudes. I mean, I could go a whole video on like some of the armor, like the likely inspirations from. I'm not no historian. I'm not like Shadiversity or any of those guys, or Skologram or any of those dudes who actually study this shit and all of that, but I would like to do a whole video on like possible inspirations for some of these armor sets, because there's a lot of cool ones. There's obvious ones like the samurai ones, but I don't know, that's what I love about these games is the freedom to choose weapons and armor sets that are like inspired by shit from history. Definitely very cool, and shit from fantasy alike, and anime. Like, just such a great blending of different mediums. That's what's awesome about the Soulsborne universe. There's also a little mention, like a little note I wrote, which I thought was interesting now that I'm reading it, about how the fact that Torrent likes these frozen raisins, it could hint that Torrent's previous owner was from the mountaintops of giants, but that to me seems a bit like a stretch, but who knows. Other armor similarities I would make just for the fuck of it would be like the mirror chainmail set and the hide mask from Dark Souls 2. Those kind of look a bit like their armor. I mean, so does Vagram's armor in the game itself. At least the helmet sort of looks similar to the Kaiden's helmet. But since these dudes are probably from the mountains, I mean, again, I'm basing it entirely off the assumption I made regarding the rhymed Roa and all that. It's possible that these dudes did fight in the War of the Erd Tree, or the Dawn of the Erd Tree, as I like to call it, when basically the Erd Tree was going around pushing everybody's shit in and fucking everybody up. But I think it's possible that they fought against it, maybe, and they kind of have no home now as a result. And after being thrown off the mountaintops, which are now almost entirely inhabited by the lesser giants or trolls, the fire monks, and of course the fucking big ass finger creeper that hangs out on top of that big ass skull. And what am I forgetting? Oh yeah.
So we also have the bird with teeth.
Yep.
Wow.
Maybe they got thrown off the mountains by those fucking big ass birds with teeth. You know, the things that are also in Kaiden and Mog's domain, but the ones in the mountaintops are constantly like at some kind of war with the fucking trolls. Or maybe they were on the side of these birds with teeth. Who the fuck knows? That's the whole thing, is that there's like so little available information on these guys that a lot of it is going to be just me speculating. I mean, there's the one in the consecrated snowfield. Like, what the fuck is he doing out there? He's like overseeing workers. Does he serve Michaela? Like, who's he working for, like, out here? Does he work for, I guess he probably collects his payment from maybe Loretta or something like that. You know, some proxy. But I don't think that the Kaidens are from the consecrated snowfield either. It's also possible that if they did go to the war with the Erd Tree and fought against the Erd Tree, that this Kaiden is out there because the consecrated snowfield is like this place for outcasts. It's like the Isle of like forgotten toys or whatever the fuck from that old Christmas special. That's entirely possible too, because the consecrated snowfield is supposed to fit that purpose, at least to me. That's how I read it. So based on my understanding, it's possible that maybe this once proud group of warriors fought against the Erd Tree and had their homes destroyed for it, which forced them to scatter like the winds as nomads and sellswords, which could explain why they work for people like Godric, who, you know, aren't exactly held in high regard, although he is part of the golden lineage. But, you know, again, he's like this bastardized version of it, and maybe these mercenaries are just like, man, we'll serve whoever, man. We just need to survive. Like, you know, we're not trying to be fucking jobless or whatever.
You're supposed to be a noble people. Noble people. Yeah, that's a noble people. You're a noble people. This is our land!
And to only having these frozen raisins as some sort of like reminder of their now possibly destroyed, or I mean, I guess in some way or some part abandoned home. Although I think it's safe to say that these guys definitely do hail from this continent, the lands between. They're not like Eocade or Eochade, like how it's this faraway place, or like the Land of Reeds, which is suggested to be another country or continent altogether. I'd say that it's safe to say Kaiden is likely in the lands between, although it's possible that I could be wrong there too, as like if you look in the armor, I don't know what order the armor actually goes in, like maybe it's light to heaviest, but the Kaiden one is right there with all the Lands of Reed armor and the Ronin armor and all that, so it's possible they're from that area too, but I mean, that seems a bit like a stretch. So by the events of the game, most of the Kaiden Sellswords, or the remnants of them, are serving in Godric's army, and mainly as caravan guards for the hearses and overseers for the slave labor. But there's also the one lone one I mentioned in Michaela's domain, who very likely could have just wandered out there, or just, you know, seeking another snowy environment, you know, found employment under Michaela. So it's really tough to say, as I believe he's the only one out there, and he doesn't seem to have any association with the wolf-backed first-gen Albinaurics. I kind of thought their armor each had a similar logo, crest design kind of thing on it, but upon closer inspection, the Albinaurics have like the tree thing, and the Kaidens have like these, like, it's different, you know. Just on first glance, I thought they were the same. Another observation I caught was that I see a lot of people saying they're like the this universe's version of the Dothraki of Essos, or the Rohirrim of Middle Earth, and it's like, yeah, they could be references to those. I mean, how the Dothraki's weapons are described is a lot more like the Kaiden Sellswords and less like how the weapons looked in the Game of Thrones show. And the Rohirrim, I believe they wear similar helmets, and obviously both of these cultures love horses and highly revere horses. So I mean, it's safe to say that they could be some type of a reference to that, or like I said, just this universe's version of the horseback group, you know, the guys who revere horses. But there's definitely similarities there. I'd be a fool to say there wasn't. But hopefully that video wasn't too all over the place and full of speculation. I had a pretty tight script written for it, honestly. At least I thought. But when I recorded it, it picked up my TV, and then like afterwards I was like, no, I might make this one just like more of a rant video, because there isn't that much information available on the Kaiden Sellswords. I mean, there's some, and you can obviously make your inferences. Like, randomly, there's the one who ended up as Spirit Ashes. Like, that's pretty random, you know what I mean? But that's cool. We don't really know how he got there. Same with most of the weaker, less important Spirit Ashes. But I mean, he's not weak by any means. He's a fucking tank. This guy, I even got this great footage of him wrecking a whole camp of enemies, which is pretty funny. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. My next one will probably be on the Vulgar Militia and the Pumpkinheads, and then the Demigods, of course, is going to be, I think, my video coming out Friday, I think, because it's a long ass video. I still have to finish editing and all that. But I appreciate all the feedback. If you guys like this video, please like it. If you disliked it, dislike it. If you like my videos in general, please consider subscribing. That'd be really dope. I'll have something else for you guys either tomorrow or the next day. You guys have a good one, be safe, and I'll see you. Peace.